Oh, good.
We're going chasing.
Hello there, and welcome to...
We're going chasing.
Hello, now, and welcome to...
We're going chasing.
Now, we have a lot on the agenda, lads, so we'll cut the chase and get straight down to the business.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of We're Going Chasing. How was your weekend, Gilligan?
Not too bad, James. No, we got bet in the hurling there today in the semi-final. I wasn't playing, but the club did at home. For our English viewers, hurling is I can't explain it. You might do it better, but we got bet there anyway, so not great.
You're sounding fairly down about it, all right?
Yeah, upset enough now, to be honest. So
will you go out for a few drinks?
I might. Yeah, we'll see.
You're tempted.
I am tempted. Yeah, I'm tired as well, though, so we'll see.
Yeah. Very good. I didn't get up to much for the weekend. Got
betting the rugby as well, I suppose. Not a good weekend. Not a good weekend for Ireland either. Betting the rugby.
Oh yeah, but sure. Typical quarter final is very disappointing, you know. But look, that's what we've nearly come to expect. You know, it's very, very frustrating and very disappointing. But it's just whatever it is around that quarter final, isn't it? They just can't do it in their heads.
Yeah. It's a pity now because we're definitely the better team against New Zealand. I suppose just a couple of mistakes here and there, probably cost them. But yeah, we definitely won't solve it on this podcast anyway.
No, I'd say that you could put them out there against the Sunday League team in a World Cup quarter final and they'd lose. They'd lose.
Like
it's just in the head.
There's no guarantees they'd beat the likes of England or us or Argentina, and they're very weak teams really, and they're both in the semi-final now further than us.
It's all in there. Just don't have the stuff when it comes to it. But look, they certainly wouldn't be in the green this week.
No, the Irish rugby team would be in the red.
If we were covering rugby now, I'd have them in the red, I'd say. You know. But look, our new format is green, amber, and red. So everything over the course of the weekend will fall into one or another categories. And we hope you like the new format. Going forward, if anybody has any suggestions over the course of a weekend or for missing out on things, or if anybody has anything that they feel should be in one of the categories, by all means, message us on Twitter, or our email address is there, I think, in our bio as well. Our Instagram is there as well, so there's no excuses. In terms of other events this week, Goodland out for the season. You know, that's a big blow for Barry Connell.
Yeah, it's a real sickening blow for that division as well. He looked to be one that could, like, especially with looking at the Ballymore and Perry Pass staying over hurdles, Gaelic Warriors staying over hurdles, Champ Kiley probably might be a Turner's horse. He could be an RSA horse either. Was Goodland fourth in that?
Yeah, fifth, and
yeah, he was around there, but it's a real blow for Barry. Like, I suppose the two flagship horses last year, and to lose one of them now for the season is a real kick. It sort of opens up that Turner's division a bit more then, too, I suppose.
Yeah, it does indeed. And we had obviously the new BHA fixture list and Grand National debate as well, which we'll cover later on.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I know we're after bringing in this new format this week, but there'll be a break in the new format next week because Gilligan recorded a podcast with Danny Gilligan, Galway Plate winning jockey. So that's going to be released next Monday in replace of our performance rankings, because myself and Gilligan are going to America.
We're going to Far Hills to the American National. Yeah, should be great now. I know we said a few weeks ago that French Dynamite, Rob Core, was going to be running, but he had a bit of a setback and he's not going to make it over there now. But even without Frenchie and more importantly without the mouse, it's unfortunate he's not been there either. But yeah, it should still be a good weekend. There's plenty of Irish horses over there. Salvador, Ziggy and Seddon are in the American National. Say Goodbye for Rob Core is in a mare's race over there as well, I think. So plenty of Irish interest over there. Should be a good crowd over there, and like, judging by the scenes from when Hewick won it last year, it's some crack too. So that's the main thing.
Yeah, we'll enjoy ourselves. Annie flying over on the Thursday and back early Monday morning, landing in Dublin Airport at about 9 o'clock. But yeah, look, that's something for us to look forward to, and we'll have a few bits and pieces of content in that on our Twitter and Instagram page. If you want to see how we're getting on over there, I'm sure there'll be something up from one of us. Moving on, so in the green this week, the first horse, Manella Indo, 10-year-old, making a season and reappearance in a Grade 3. You know, bet very good horses very well.
The champ, here he is on my, is this my right hand? Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
This side of me. The thing won't show up my hand sometimes. But yeah, Jesus, really satisfactory comeback from him. Like, probably not the force of old that he was, but he's still beaten. Like, I know Galvin or Conflated and Delta Work probably didn't run to form, but he's still beaten those out of sight. Hurricane Georgie sort of stayed on from the back. He wasn't really in the race at all, and just sort of picked up the pieces and got second. Which you'd have to love it from Indo. Like, it was, I suppose the Gold Cup last year didn't really go to plan. He didn't show that much enthusiasm throughout the race. I think it was more so a case of him just down in tools on the day than him not actually being good enough. So you'd always sort of worry that the spark wasn't there, but he definitely showed he still likes racing from his performance in Punchestown on Tuesday. I don't know what the plan is for the season. I think the Grand National has been mentioned as sort of his spring target. So I'd assume Tremor on New Year's Day it'd be on the cards again, and maybe something like a Bobby Joe then in Fairy House. So he's interested in Down Royal as well in the Grade 1. But I don't know, is he going to run in that? Be great to see him in it. We'll be there that day. So
I think they'd nearly be as well off having a good early season target for him and having that as, you know, his Gold Cup. You know, because there's no point campaigning him like you've campaigned him in previous years. Bristol de May, for example, you know, for years, towards the end of his career, he targeted that race at Haydock, and you know, and he made it his own. I mean, Indo would nearly be as well off having some target there where he's fully primed for the day, a Grade 1 up against horses who are, you know, he's only warming up, you know, and that's probably his best chance of picking up a Grade 1, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd agree with you in a way. I think it's I think if you look back through his form now, he's a better horse in the spring than he is in the autumn. So that's probably in the back of their mind as well. His best performance.
He would have been trained that way too, though.
Yeah, that is fair enough, I suppose. But I think I'd like to see him go to Down Royal and have a good stab at winning it. But yeah, it seems they're working back from the Grand National anyway. And he'd have to carry a fair lump of weight, but he's a huge horse. Like, he'd be well able for it. So it's just a case of whether that'd weigh him down. I think maybe, my opinion, is probably a year too late. Maybe that should have been tried last year, but you never know. He's a super horse. He owes connections nothing. So it'd be great to see him line up in Aintree anyway.
Yeah, it would indeed. And we had Good Boy Bobby winning the Veterans Chase at Chepstow on Friday as well. Huge gamble on him, 11-2 into 9-4. And what a finish to that race.
Yeah, unreal. Like, you'd have said I Right was just had it sewn up after jumping the last. He's 7 or 8 lengths clear and up against the rail and everything. He has that to help, and he's somehow just, I don't know, as he ran out of steam, or it looks like he's idled a small bit on his own in front. And in fairness to Sam Twiston Davis, the money was down. I'd say he said, I better make sure I collect on this, and he never gave up the chase on Good Boy Bobby and got there for a finish. Like, veterans races, they can be great. It's seeing all these sort of
savage
horses in together as well. So it is definitely a very good program that the BHA put on for veterans over in the UK.
It is. And I wonder, with I Right, is he just that bit too long in the tooth now? Because he was such a dour stayer before. He'd just stay. And to see him sort of so timid there from the last home, you know, you'd wonder, are his best days well and truly behind him, or is it just a bit of rustiness early in the year?
I'd say I'd put it down to rustiness, to be honest. Like, he's only a 10-year-old. Like, it's not as if he's 11 or 12. He ran some all right races last year. Suppose he ran in the Gold Cup a couple of seasons ago. Then last year he was second in the Edinburgh Gin in Kelso to an improving horse in Sounds Russian. Ran an all right race in Wetherby on Stevens's day then as well in the Premier Handicap. Ran his last start last year was in a Grade 1 when he was well beaten, but Yeah, I think this veterans program now, which like he'll probably be kept to a lot of these types of races now. So you wouldn't be surprised seeing that the veterans final in Sandown. I can't think when is it. I don't know what month it is, but I'd say that could be his target, and they'd sort of just maybe work back from there.
Yeah.
But it was a bit disappointing to see him being
if there was one thing Irish racing could take from British racing, the veterans program would be well up there. You know,
I'd say it's the one thing as opposed to a one thing.
yeah.
But definitely, it'd be great to see a veterans program here. I know we have the hunters chasing as well. I know the UK do too, but that's sort of where a lot of our
because that's what people love, or certainly what I love about National Hunt Racing is these horses keep on coming back. And then when you have a race like we did last Friday at Chepstow with some stalwarts, you know, in it, it's fierce exciting, I find anyway. And I don't know, maybe veterans chasing isn't for everybody, but just seeing these big names back against each other, all with a good chance of winning, you know, is what National Hunt Racing.
I suppose that the main thing about it is that it's once the horse is still interested in running and everything, it gives them a chance at winning races and gives the owners a chance of winning races. Because you throw these horses into handicaps against unexposed, improving 6, 7, 8-year-olds, like they're really not going to have much of a chance. No. So it is a great program, and I'd like to see it introduced into Irish racing. I think it'd be no harm at all.
Yeah. And going from veteran chasing, we're swinging the whole way back to novice hurdling. Captain Teague is firmly in the green. Once he came to the last there, he hadn't been hit any belts at all of the whip, jumped the last, got a few, and he really took off and finished the race very strongly.
Yeah, he did, absolutely. He's definitely one that's in the green. Winning a grade 2 on hurdles debut. I know it's probably a grade 2 in all but name, really, at these early season ones. Sometimes they can be a bit deceiving with their namings, but like he beat some good horses in behind. Like it wasn't, I'd say we've seen weaker Persian Wars in the past at Chepstow, but like obviously he's advertised that champion bumper form too, and Dream to Share, Fact to File, 2 of those that finished in front of him that day. 2 very exciting horses for the year to come as well. So the one thing is, like, looking at him there, to be honest, he probably looks a 3-mile chaser as opposed to a 2.5-mile hurdler. I'd proceed with extreme caution in backing him for a Ballymore. I don't know, would Nichols be really gone on a Bartlett with him? Maybe he might be wanting to take it a bit slower with him. He said afterwards he does see him as a chaser down the line, so he's on about going to Sandown and then to the Challow. That mean he'd have 3 runs sort of around before the new year, around the new year time, and then I wouldn't be surprised to see him just skip Cheltenham and go to the 3-mile race at Aintree. Because
really, yeah,
Willie is going to have probably 5 that could definitely beat him, and probably 5 more that probably would beat him. And that's without factoring in Gordon, Henry, Nicky. Like I think
you're being harsh there.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not at all.
I think you are. When you look at what he did after he jumped the last, and I agree with you to an extent. I couldn't see him win the Ballymore, but I don't think he's as bad as you're making him out to be.
He's not bad. He's just not fast. Like, and I don't know, would Nichols want to throw him into a Bartlett? Bartlett's a very tough race on a horse. I just think he might say, well, he might go to 2.5 miles or a 3-mile race to Aintree. I just think if he doesn't run the Ballymore, he's not going to run Cheltenham. Yeah. And I couldn't have him in a Ballymore. Like, Hermes Allen completely bombed out. Brave Man's Game was thumped. Like, Brave Man's Game, if this lad is as good a horse as Brave Man's Game, Nichols is laughing, but like it's hard to see him being as good as Brave Man's Game. So yeah, like I don't know. I just think that he's not going to run him in a Bartlett. It's Ballymore or nothing, and I wouldn't be surprised if he skipped it and won his grade 1 Aintree then. 2 grade 1s this year.
I'd agree. Yeah, I'd agree to the point that he's 12-1 for the Ballymore, and if he does go there, I definitely couldn't see him winning it either.
No.
As much as I did like his performance, I'd be surprised if that's the best we've got. Very surprised. Moving on from that, another nice race at Chepstow. We had Chianti Classico for Kim Bailey in a novice handicap chase over 3 miles. And that's another horse that gave us a real nice performance at the weekend off a rating of 133 on chase debut. It definitely looks like one that's got a nice bit more improvement in him. What did you make of him?
Yeah, I was very impressed with him. Jumped really well. Like sometimes, like David Bass, I just think he really gets a tune out of chasers. Sometimes, like he rode him into a lot of the fences, and he asked him to come up with big jumps, and he did. I love seeing that. Puppy Power was another man that was great for doing that, riding horses into fences and getting a real tune out of them. But yeah, he's a very good horse. I'd say he won by 4.5 lengths, I think, and there was another 10 or 15 lengths back to the third. 133. He's just off wind surgery as well, so he disappointed in the Bartlett, but I'd say the Bartlett was probably a bit too much too soon for him.
Yeah,
But chasing, yeah.
I was wondering what David Bass was doing at the last 2. He absolutely flung him into it.
Yeah,
and like
great
if you had him back, you'd be a small bit nervy. But I suppose Bass just wanted to see sort of what he had underneath him to an extent.
Yeah.
And he that was a super jump. I don't know, he barely touched the twig.
No,
got over it economically, and then just stayed on very well. Another one that I would take from that race, Killian, is Pull Again Green. He's had 5 starts over chases now, 1 win and 2 places. He was quite a decent handicap hurdler for Fergal O'Brien as well, rated 133. He came into the race very well. He was well back in the field and just jumped his way up to the front, not quite to the front, but second, and a long way clear third, 10 lengths clear of third. And he'd be one that's got to have a nice handicap chase in him too, possibly. Certainly a novice's handicap chase, he's going to be bang there whenever he turns up in one of them again.
Yeah, he'll definitely run at the November meeting in Cheltenham, or the October meeting, and probably the November meeting.
Yeah.
Fergal will run all his horses there, so you'll probably see him there in a novice handicap or handicap chase.
And then finally in the green, we've a trainer who was 3 from 3 over the weekend, and they were his only runners in the last 14 days. Sam Thomas.
Yeah, Sam is, you got to hand it to him. He's just obviously getting them out for the start of the season. Must have targeted this meeting, Alfie's Princess. She won a hurdle race, maiden hurdle, I think, and then Stolen Silver, very good handicap chaser. He's won off 150 by 6 lengths. And then another sort of horse, another old favourite, Al Dancer, I think Al Dancer was previously like a supreme favourite. Something he's won a handicap off 148 by 7.5 lengths. So Sam obviously has them in really good order this time of the season, and it's good to see it too.
Yeah.
And he went off joint favourite in Classical Dreams Supreme with Fakir Dudery, 9-2 joint favourite, bet 33 lengths. Nigel Twiston Davis trained him at the time.
Yeah. Very good. We'll move on to the Amber Killian, and we're starting off with Chepstow racing in general. And I know it's seen as the return of the jumps and that in the UK, but it's quite an underwhelming card to be labelled as the return of the jumps. When you look at what we have in Ireland, we'll say Down Royal meeting, you have a grade 1 there, you have a very nice card. Chepstow doesn't really stand up to that. And even if you look back 2 weeks ago, like we had a nice meeting at Goran Park, we had a grade 2 their champion chase. Like we could label that our return of the jumps, and it'd be probably a step down from Chepstow, to be fair. But I just feel for a return of the jumps meeting to be putting so much weight on it, it's quite underwhelming.
Yeah, underwhelming maybe a strong word. Middling, I'd say. It's just the middle of the road, like the jumps in my eyes in England really comes back in the October Cheltenham meeting, the showcase meeting. So I suppose that's in my eyes. But yeah, look, it's good to see to get some good horses out. You the Welsh champion hurdle there today or yesterday, I suppose, in Fosslas as well, and you the Persian War, I suppose. Napper's Hill ran as well in a handicap with Turner's third unexpected party. So a lot of good horses do, I suppose, make their reappearance or their debuts over in Chepstow in this meeting. But when I saw the card for Friday on Wednesday and for Saturday and Thursday, I was sort of like, Jesus, it's a small bit underwhelming. Yeah, like I don't know what I was expecting, better or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
There's been so much build up to it.
And yeah, there's a lot of build up. And to be fair to it, like there's horses and there's big names there in some of the races, and there's some nice novices. Don't want to put it totally down because it's not a bad meeting.
No, it's a great meeting for this time
it's
of
just
year.
There's so much weight put on it. I think it's a small bit underwhelming. And one other point on that, actually, and I know we put a tweet up on this a couple of weeks ago. I was just looking, and a lot of people speak about the value of British racing, and we actually have a lot of British to come over to Ireland for meetings at every course. But the value, like Chepstow, for their 4-course meal, their main hospitality last weekend was £155. Compare that to Ireland, and we'll look at the Navan Racing Festival in November. You're talking €80 for pretty much the exact same package. And I know Chepstow, I'm sure that price is in line with other courses. I'm not putting them down whatsoever. But it's just an interesting dynamic where we're looking at Irish racing versus British racing, and looking into why so many British come to Ireland for Irish racing. But moving on from that then, Gilligan, we had Napper's Hill, who you mentioned. He's also in the amber this week. Small bit disappointing. He went off 11-10. Unexpected party for Dan Skelton, beat him, off level weights. And unexpected party is rated, what is it, 10 or 11 pounds?
Yeah. I suppose this one of these handicaps they put into for the listed handicap, or not a listed handicap, a listed chase, but they show up Napper's Hill's hurdle rating beside him, because obviously he could run a chase off his hurdle rating of 153. I suppose looking at it from the one lens of, okay, it's one horse that had been third in a Grade 1 this year. Unexpected Party was third in a Turner's, or fifth, sorry, not third, fifth in a Turner's, versus a horse making this chase debut. Like with a horse like Napper's Hill, who's pretty exciting recruit to fences for Paul Nicholls, you'd imagine he'd have won it, but I suppose it's just a bit of the bit of experience maybe got it done for Unexpected Party. I think I was a small bit disappointed with Napper's Hill. I thought he probably like, it's a long run in Chepstow. I just thought I could see him picking up Unexpected Party maybe between the second last and the last, and he just didn't do it. Now maybe he needed the run, I don't know, but I'd be wary of backing him for a novice chase at the festival. I don't think anyone would do it. No. But if you are thinking about it, I'd maybe have a sit down, maybe take a walk, and come back again and see, do you still want to do it? Because him over 2.5 miles in a Turner's, he wouldn't be near good enough to beat some of the horses that are priced up for that race.
Yeah, and just speaking of novice chases at Cheltenham, it's the one race that actually, I know we've got 28 and people are saying it's a bit watered out. It would be nice to have a novice handicap chase back. I know Plutarch absolutely demolished the field when he was a novice chaser in it off a ridiculously low rating. But it was a nice race to watch. A lot of unexposed types, a lot of plotting going on. But, maybe if that was there, it might be something a small bit more down Napper's Hill's line. But, in terms of graded races at a Grade 1 at Cheltenham, exactly, go and take a walk for yourself.
100%, yeah. And in fairness to the novice handicap, it was one of the best betting races of the week as well. Like punters there's favourites at a Savage record in it. What's the name of the horse that won it the year after? A Plutarch. It was a really good form line for that.
Okay.
I can't think of its name, but it was a very good race for punters, and yeah, I suppose I get rid of the turners anyway. I wouldn't bring back the novice handicap though.
Yeah. Okay. You get rid of the turners.
Yeah, make them run in the Arkle or the RSA, one of the two.
I don't know. I don't. Well, look, there's definitely an argument for it, but if you're going to get rid of the turners, get rid of the Ryanair, and
No,
then
keep the Ryanair, but get rid of the turners.
I don't know, but sure, is it not a stepping stone to the Ryanair? That's what it is.
I don't know.
I'd sooner nearly get rid of the Ryanair before I get rid of the turners.
Too many small fields in the turners though. The Ryanair will attract runners.
There, the Ryanair, I do actually like the Ryanair.
Yeah. This isn't the rabbit hole we want to get into at 8 o'clock on Sunday night.
No, it's certainly not. Right. We'll stay going. Hercule de Soy, another horse who's landing in our amber section. Obviously, 5 wins now from 6 runs over fences. Had won by big margins all summer. Went off again 4-11 on. Should have won by a big margin again. He's all out, just won by a neck from Sinesia, a horse trained by Vincent Lawrence. It was quite an underwhelming performance from him, and it sort of takes the gloss off of what he's been doing, and you'd be questioning what exactly was he running against.
Yeah, 100%. He's been very, very busy since May. He's had the 6 runs there. Sinesia beat him on Chase debut as well, up in Ballinrobe. So like it wasn't as if we didn't see it coming. I suppose maybe he just didn't jump as well as he had since then that day. Sinesia was beaten by Watchhouse Cross and fell in the Dundrum Novice or down in Tip, the Charger one. But yeah, he'd been a wide margin winner of a good few races, beat Ballyadam, beat the same horse that Joseph's, Solness twice in Killarney and Galway, hosed up in Roscommon then as well. Looked really good that day on a different type of ground than what he had been running on all summer. So that was sort of helping us with him as well. It might have opened a few doors for him, but maybe that race in Roscommon took a nice bit out of him. There was only a couple of weeks between them at that and Punchestown, so maybe it knocked a bit out of him, that heavy ground. But you'd imagine he'll be having a break now. We won't see him again till spring, I'd say. Hard to see him run again. It's a lot of runs for Willie horse. So I'd imagine he won't be back again until the spring. It might, like, I don't know, would they run him in an Arkle? Would they run him in a Grand Annual? Like his mark of 150 there, he'd probably get 3 or 4 pounds. I don't know. I'd say he'd probably run him in the Arkle, to be honest, and then maybe there might be a handicap for him in Punchestown or something.
Yeah, I'd be thinking Punchestown a handicap maybe. I'd say he's probably fallen there between a rock and a hard place in terms of his rating of 150.
Yeah.
And then getting another few on top of it, and in a handicap, and then the Arkle is a step beyond him, you'd imagine too. It'd be very surprising if it wasn't. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with him. But for a break in that, it could make a big difference to him as well. So
could, yeah. That's why he's in the amber though. It was an underwhelming performance and he just scraped home, but he has been busy, so he goes into amber. Yeah,
and then one of the final horses we have in amber is Namian Line. He won the Grade 2, the Welsh champion hurdle at Fostlass. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, am I? Fola, maybe? I don't know.
Fostlass, yeah. The Welsh champion hurdle.
It is Fostlass, isn't it?
Fostlass, yeah.
Yeah. What do you make of him?
Yeah, he probably lucky to win it. The horse that was second, Annie Harman-Askin, of John Joe Neal's, the famous horse to beat Constitution Hill in the point to point, because that matters so much. He hung very badly to his left after the back of the last. He was nearly unsteerable. John Joe couldn't keep him straight at all. And he's only gone down by about a length. Like, even looking at the race, it looked like Annie Harman-Askin was getting up, and then you could just see him just going left and left, going more towards that rail, the far side. And yeah, it didn't help him at all. But Like you'd imagine if there was a rail like along the hurdle track, that any Harman Askin would have beaten him handy enough. But Nimian Lyon's an interesting one. He won the Grade 2 in Kelso back in February. Farinelli was fourth that day on his hurdles debut. As the horse that was second that day, Colonel Harry, Jamie Snowden trains him. He was behind Nimian Lyon that day, and also in the Tolworth, he was fourth. Nimian Lyon was third. He's a mark of 132. He might be one that might pop up in a handicap somewhere off that mark. Jamie Snowden's pretty good target trainer as well, so I'm sure he'd have something in mind there. I'd be putting him on the track anyway, Colonel Harry after Nimian Lyon. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how many pounds Annie Harman Askin gets after that. I'd imagine he'd be kept to going left-handed. He won't be going right-handed just the way he hung there after the last year. You wouldn't chance him going the other way. So I'd imagine he'd be kept to left-handed tracks. Maybe there might be a race for him in Cheltenham in November. Maybe the Great Wood. I don't know.
Yeah. Right. And onto the red. Gilligan, I know last week we said that the BHA were firmly in the red until further notice. And one would have thought at that point that we wouldn't be talking about them until they left the red. But a lot happened last week. They brought out their new fixture list, and the role that they're also playing in the Aintree Grand National changes is quite significant. So we felt like we had to bring them up and discuss them briefly. First of all, the new fixture list. Have they actually done anything there really to resolve the issue of too many races, too many opportunities for horses to dodge each other? And what is there a real benefit to that?
Yeah, they seem to have made a lot of changes to various different races. They've made the Desert Orchid a handicap now. I know we'd said that last year. Kevin Blake had said it as well. Yeah, things like that. They've moved the Tolworth to Aintree on Boxing Day or Stevens's Day, whichever you're more comfortable with. Like it looks like they haven't really cut as many fixtures as I thought they would. Like there seems to be a big problem still. Like obviously you need to keep race courses happy and stuff. You can't just go decimating their fixtures and everything. But they seem to just have moved everything around and cut a few bits here and there. But as opposed to really just going in and gutting it is what they needed to do. But again, I'm no expert, so that's all I know about it really.
Yeah, but really the main reason why they're in the red along with Aintree is for the Grand National changes. Like Ted Walsh, and we shared a video of what he said on Twitter after the 4 miler about 5 or 6 years ago, where he said, if you don't want to watch racing, go and watch Peppa Pig. He said people won't be happy, like those protesting won't be happy until there's no racing. You're not going to please them. They don't see these changes any significance to the changes. They want no whip. They don't want the horses running full stop. They just want the horses to stand in the field, and until they get to that point, they won't be happy. So we can go and chip away and chip away and chip away at the product that we have here in racing, the product that you and I and everybody watching this video love. We can chip away at that, and we can decimate the quality of our product, and we can ruin it essentially by making these changes. Or the BHA Aintree race course, all the different stakeholders, they can man up, they can accept that this is going on. There's going to be people giving out, but we're not going to ruin the product, because now it's a double-edged sword. You've got people at the racing side not happy with him, and you've got the protesters not happy with him. And like all the stakeholders, like will say, who's the most important stakeholders in race? The owners, the trainers, the jockeys, and the fans. I'd say they're probably the 4 most important. And as a whole, none of those groups, I feel. I'm sure there's people who are happy. I've seen loads of people. Ruby Welch is happy, for example, a great judge in everything horse racing. He is happy, to be fair. But by and large, those 4 groups are not happy with these new changes, because they just see the product being watered down. And it just boils my blood. The BHA are so weak. Like when it comes to leadership and that, they're so weak. They just pander and pander and pander. I was going to leave you talk.
No, I wanted you to talk.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on getting into this. I'm tired. It's a Sunday evening. I've had a long day. I wasn't planning on getting into this in that detail because it's well documented how much they annoy me. But do you have anything else to add to that, or am I crazy?
No, to be honest, me saying anything else wouldn't do your rant there justice. Like,
Yeah, like
no, it's an absolute disgrace. As you put it there when you tweeted Ted during the week. These lads don't want racing. I think one group, I don't know, was it the fellas that were protesting there in the national in April? They said, "Oh, this is a step to eradication or something." I don't know, but I try not to look into those lads really too much. I wouldn't give them the clicks. Yeah, it's like reducing the field. Like, I think I see a good tweet up there the other day.
I'm actually as you're speaking, I'm trying to find it. That's what I was going to move on to. Do you know it off by heart there?
Well, Manila Times was number 35.
Yeah.
So he's gone. He hasn't ruined the national, and Rachel Blackmore now doesn't have a national win. Thank you, BHA, for that.
Yeah.
So they're gone. Yeah, I'm trying to scroll down through Twitter here myself.
Jeez, he tweets a lot, doesn't he?
He does tweet a lot.
a hell of a lot. Here we have it. I have it. So he says highest finishing horse in the Grand National, numbers 35 to 40. So these are the numbers. They're knocking it down to 36 runners, which again, it's not going to make that much of a difference. You're only ruining the quality of what we have. 2023, yeah, the horse falls into that bracket, 6th. Or they're knocking it down to 34. Apologies.
34, yeah, I was thinking
34.
34.
2023, Born by the Sea was 6th. 2022,
the great
14,
Paul Gilligan.
Black
We'll
Lion,
talk about him on Monday. Next Monday.
Yeah, 2021, Manila Times, your winner. 2019, Walk in the Mill, 4th. 2018, Bless the Wings, 3rd. Bless the Wings actually finished 2nd in a cross-country chase at Cheltenham years ago. Had him backed each way. Davey did a great job, but that's only a side note.
Yeah.
He got him up for his place. But these are the horses that you're knocking out of the race.
Yeah.
And the fences are ruined already. Like, it's a glorified handicap chase now. And like what we're going over to in America is the American Grand National. It mightn't be the spectacle that the English Grand National is. I'm not saying it is, but at least their race is their race. They're not going pandering to anybody, you know?
No. The American Grand National is actually sort of a hurdle race. They're very small fences.
I know.
But at least, at least they said,
at least it is what it is.
This is what we're doing, and we're sticking to it, and fuck you all. But the BHA just they haven't got the stuff. They haven't got anything. They're like the Irish rugby team. They just don't have the stuff when it gets to the quarterfinal.
Oh yeah, like the Americans don't go around and say it's the greatest test of jumping and this and whatnot. Aintree do, the BHA do, and it's getting softer and softer every year. And as far as I can see, nobody's really happy with it. Only the BHA.
Absolutely.
Right, we'll move on from the BHA, and we don't have much in the red this week, because there hasn't been that much racing going on. We're still quite early in the year, but we've one horse in the red, Gilligan, strong leader.
Yeah, I put him in the red. I'm flabbergasted he's over hurdles. It doesn't make any sense to me. He's looked a real strong stayer at 2 miles. I said, this lad, a fence and a trip next year, and he'll be decent. Like, he mightn't be a grade 1 horse, but he'd probably be a graded horse. He was second to In the Pocket in Aintree, staying on that day, bet a length and a half or whatever it was, over 2 miles. But they've decided to keep him over hurdles. They ran him in the Welsh Champion hurdle today, and he just completely bombed out. Now maybe they'll find something wrong with him, but it really doesn't bode well for what they're going doing for the season, keeping him over hurdles. And like, maybe they'll step him up and trip, and maybe he might win a graded or listed race over 2.5 miles over in England somewhere, because there's, as we said, there's enough of them anyway to go around. But yeah, it's just a bit disappointing. Like, horses like this should be going over fences, I think, and it's just a pity that they've decided to keep him over hurdles. Maybe it just be for the year, but maybe he schooled absolutely terrible over fences, and they said we'll have to keep him over hurdles. But yeah, it's just a bit disappointing, and he's a horse I was looking forward to seeing this year, but Yeah, he's
The
on
one
the
thing
back foot after day one anyway.
Yeah, the one thing I'd say in his defence was he was so bad at the weekend.
Yeah.
You'd like to think that it's not his true running.
No, it's definitely not. No,
hopefully they get to the bottom of the issue.
Yeah,
but your point is valid in terms of you were looking forward to seeing him go and chasing. And he's staying hurdling, unfortunately.
He is.
Okay, Cillian, that wraps up our week here. Week number 1 of the performance rankings. You're back next week with the Danny Gilligan interview. You've done that already a few days ago. Quite a short interview, to the point. But look, you won't be hearing from us next week in terms of reviews of the racing or anything like that. Make sure to have a look at our social media, and we'll keep you updated on what's going on there. We've a fair week of it planned out for ourselves, with obviously the American Grand National being the centerpiece. But unless, Cillian, you've anything to add to that, we'll leave them go for this week.
Yeah, Salvador Ziggy wins the American National. You heard it here first.
And hopefully say goodbye
in
the mayor's race.
Absolutely.
Best of luck, lads.
Thank you. Bye.